So Nicole was great. She, when I first started in March, SPCA had kind of been going through a transition in the year before, and so Nicole was a great resource for me. I mean, she was always available to kind of give me history about the agency. She was available to just kind of sit down and let me vent if I needed to. She was there to kind of give advice and say, well, here's how it was done in the past. But she was also really good about being open to ideas that I had and kind of backing me up on that. She was great about getting people motivated. So, you know, Nicole was in charge of Pause and Pictures this year, our big fundraising event. She absolutely got that organized. There was really not a lot of work for me to do because she did such a great job.
Yeah, well, yeah, she got on the board. Well, I was serving as president, and I made a plea to Wendy Thomas to kind of scour the Leadership Tulsa alumni to see if there was anybody that had, and we were particularly looking for marketing experience, PR, communications. And so Wendy sent out an email, and Nicole responded, and well, I was immediately just impressed by kind of her take charge attitude. I mean, we were, after she grilled me and asked me lots of questions about what the organization's doing, what are some of the issues we're facing, challenges, and after I convinced her that we really needed her to get involved, she immediately got involved. One thing that has really impressed me is her ability to go out and find people to sponsor events that we're hosting, and she's never afraid to ask somebody to help us out, and I think that's resulted in us kind of broadening the base of support for the SPCA.
In class 29, and I have been involved in the membership committee, events committee, and the board since then, but the true value for me for Leadership Tulsa was the networking and the connections I made. And I did learn a lot about nonprofit service through Wendy, and she's actually been a mentor for most of the boards I've served on since, and the Tulsa SPCA who nominated me. So she's been a blessing to witness the Leadership Tulsa board and helping us function better as a SPCA board. I learned a lot about Tulsa. I did not walk into it not being a native from here. I didn't know everything about Tulsa or think that I did, so I was very interested in learning. But learned about mainly about how giving this community is and how diverse the community is, and all of our underserved needs I knew from United Way. But Leadership Tulsa is a great way to bridge the needs of the community with people that are willing to give back and serve. And so I already had the community service mindset, but it was nice to be able to look across and see what I might be interested in, what area, and how I could serve, whether it was my board or help others in serving their board. We actually put 200 interns on boards every year, and so we're definitely impacting the Tulsa community through service.
To that question. Priscilla has been involved with Tulsa Global Alliance in one form or another for over 20 years, longer than we've been the organization that we currently are. In some ways, we were two separate groups, Sister Cities International of Tulsa and International Council of Tulsa, and both organizations merged in 1995 to become Tulsa Global Alliance. But Priscilla was one of the leaders that was instrumental in the merger process in the mid-90s. So that's an example of how long she's been involved in the organizations and the level of her leadership in being one of the key people that was able to make that happen. Because she's had so much experience, she's kind of a source of advice and institutional memory, and if we have a question that needs, a careful kind of answer, and we really want to get it right, we'll ask Priscilla.
Well, what's so amazing to me about Priscilla is that she was here from the beginning, and Bob and I don't even have all the details about the beginning. So she helped start the organization, helped merge the organization, helped grow the organization, yet 20 25, 30 years later, I can call her up or email her and say, well, what do you think about this? And boom, she's very engaged. She'll send me information that she sees about Sister Cities International. She really is the one that helped us win an award. She called me up in 2012 and she said, Becky, I think Tulsa Global Alliance should apply for the Best Overall Sister City Award at Sister Cities International. And I said, oh. I said, well, that's a grant application, isn't it? And she said, yes. And I said, well, gosh, we're just so busy. And she said, I think you should do it. And so she just got me all revved up, And so I was like, okay, Priscilla, you are right. We are going to apply for this. So we did. Sure enough, we won the award. So it really was through her just thinking about it. And she is such a good people person. She works so well with the visitors, works so well with the volunteers, can be the president or chair of the board, lead people.
I just had met some people who were in Leadership Tulsa, and at the time I was a community volunteer, and I think I was only the second community volunteer that became a part of Leadership Tulsa, and that really drew me because of the different activities. I was in the PTA and different things like that. So, and then I wanted to learn about Tulsa. I think that was the big draw, because then there's so many boards that are looking for board members. And if you've gone through Leadership Tulsa, you've developed the leadership skills to serve on the board, and you know what's important. So, in fact, I was just talking to the our chair of the trash board, the tear board, and when he saw that I had received this award, he said, that's something that I want to get involved in. So, you have to always listen for what someone's interest is. But yes, getting people involved is so very important. What I would want people to know is Tulsa Global Alliance is the premier international organization in the entire United States. And I'm very proud to have been a part of establishing that for the city of Tulsa. I can smile in all languages.
There we go.
But I have known Adrienne. Adrienne has been involved with this organization since she first went through Camp Anytown in 1994. Adrienne was actually one of the campers at our very first camp. And since then, she has attended 16 of those camps, either as a camper, a counselor, an advisor, or this year she was actually the co-director with our two staff program directors. The three of them planned the camp together, and those two staff people are not coincidentally also Camp Anytown graduates.
So I first met Adrienne in 2004. I went to Camp Anytown, which is the Leadership Diversity Camp for high school students, and she was assigned as my cabin counselor. I saw her in a leadership position, and at that point she was a law student and had gone to Castle Hall in Tulsa, and really seemed like someone that the youth could relate to in a way, because she could still talk about her high school days, and she was never really intimidating, even though she was so well educated. So she was someone that I could look up to at that point, and never thought that later on I would still be working with her. So that's kind of how I first met her.
Sure. So I first met Adrienne 12 years ago when I went to Camp Anytown when I was in high school. And during that week I was able to learn so much from her, just interpersonal skills and leadership skills, and that just helped me. I was right out of high school, and so it just helped me in my trajectory of my adult life. And I always looked up to her as a role model of someone who had a good head on their shoulders, who was making a positive impact and contribution in the community.
She definitely her life embodies everything that we stand for here, and that's how she lives her life and how she represents herself to other people, and she's just a huge asset to this organization.
I was in class 36, and I believe that was 2005, and it was a wonderful opportunity. I think they have structured the program in an excellent way to really emphasize the many facets of Tulsa and how it, ranging from the cultural to the educational to the social services sector to the business sector. They do a really nice job of rounding out the full picture. And of course, it's a wonderful opportunity to meet people and network and people that you stay in touch afterwards. So it was a very positive experience.